Hi, my name is Jonathan Chester and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bitwage. Today I'm going to talk to you about this hot trend around Bitcoin payroll. I mean, why do people want to get paid in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency payroll? And how does Bitwage fit into all of this? Why am I even talking here? That's what I'm going to talk about. So I'm not sure if you've really been seeing the news recently or been on crypto Twitter, but Bitcoin payroll is all over the place. Sequoia Holdings, a Bitwage customer, just announced that they are allowing employees to get paid in Bitcoin, Ether, or Bitcoin Cash. People like Elon Musk and Tim Draper are talking about getting paid in Bitcoin and doing this through Bitwage on Twitter. Bitwage users from like 6 years ago are showing how their first paychecks are now worth over $13,000. Exciting stuff. So let's take a step back. What exactly is Bitwage? Bitwage is the leading provider of Bitcoin payroll and cryptocurrency benefits. Companies can offer cryptocurrency payroll and Bitcoin 401k to their employees, but also employees and freelancers can sign up globally without their employers. They'll get access to US, EU, UK direct deposit accounts to get paid from any employer that they want. We're talking about from Facebook or Google to Uber to mom and pop shops. We've got 50,000 users, $100 million transacted in over 100 different countries. It's enough about Bitwage. Let's talk about Bitcoin payroll. Why does it matter? We've got 6 different reasons that we're talking about today. Ease of Bitcoin acquisition, dollar cost averaging, self-sovereignty, one of my favorites, exiting local currencies, faster and cheaper cross-border payroll and wage disbursements, and finally, stablecoins. Ease of Bitcoin payroll acquisition. Well, when Bitwage first started back in 2014, exchanges were clunky. There weren't really any services out there, so it was really hard to get Bitcoin. Of course, now things have become easier, but a lot of what's been built has been focused around institutional investment and traders. So people have to go to an exchange, send money there, convert it, then withdraw. For mainstream users, this is all very complicated. You might see an exchange interface that looks a bit scary. For crypto nerds, it could be a big time dump to do that process, especially when markets are volatile and servers are going down. But just think about how easy getting a paycheck is. I mean, I'm literally sleeping when I get my paycheck. It's so easy when you get your paycheck in dollars. So it's also just that easy when you're getting your paycheck in Bitcoin. You could be sleeping, you could be surfing, you could be relaxing on the beach. Maybe you're eating dinner with your date, your wife, your family. Who cares? It's easy. As knowledge of Bitcoin grows and people are looking to Bitcoin as a savings account, it's just going to be natural for them to get their paycheck in Bitcoin like they would dollars to their savings account. And that's what we're seeing. Now let's talk about dollar cost averaging. It's really the new buzzword today. And we created a new website because of all this buzz. It's called bitcoindollarcostaverage.com. And it shows you how much you would have made if you were getting paid a portion of your wage in Bitcoin. And there's also a tax calculator. The value of dollar cost averaging, high level, is basically it's removing stress and reducing the risk of buying at a bad price. Instead of doing one bulk purchase, you spread your purchases into smaller ones over time. So as long as you believe that Bitcoin is going up and to the right, all the way to the moon, you'll be riding this wave without being so affected by the short-term volatility. Now let's actually look at this example on the screen. I pulled it from last week when Bitcoin was around 32K. So if you start getting your paycheck, maybe $250 of it every paycheck since the beginning, since the very top of the bubble. So you bought the most expensive price in 2017, which was about $20,000. If you started getting your paycheck at that time, you would have today over a 300% ROI. In dollars, we're talking $80,000. In Bitcoin, which is more important, you'd have 2.5 Bitcoin. Now, if we think about that day Bitcoin was $20,000. So if you were only spending $18,500, you would get less than 1 Bitcoin. which is less than 100% ROI today. So this is sort of the value of dollar cost averaging your paycheck in Bitcoin. And we're seeing that this popularity of dollar cost averaging is growing. I mean, our website visitors grew from 700% from October to December. And when you really think about it, your dollar cost averaging your wealth with your paycheck in dollars. So why shouldn't you be doing that in Bitcoin, especially when there's so much more upside available? So now let's switch gears and think more on an ideological level, which is self-sovereignty, owning your own wealth. Almost every way that you buy Bitcoin, you have to first purchase your Bitcoin on a centralized wallet. But if you don't own your private keys, you do not own your coins. This means that you don't own your wealth, and in the worst dire situations when you need it, you're not going to have access unless you withdraw your money from the exchange. Now, let's think through why this is important. Maybe one day you have a huge payment that you need to do. If you don't do it, there's life-threatening situations, people are going to starve, whatever. But it turns out you can't access your funds. Why? Because you didn't fully KYC in the exchange, so they won't let you withdraw until you submit the KYC, and then it takes 3 or more days to get approved. So all the bad things have already happened by then. Maybe the exchange has regulators or just banking partners that say, you know what, we're no longer allowing you to withdraw cryptocurrency. Finally, what could happen is just a huge increase in volatility, and market trading causes server loads to make the website unavailable. In all these circumstances, you realize you don't own your keys, you don't own your coins. But with Bitwage's Bitcoin Payroll services, there is no custody. All the funds go directly to a public key that you put on our system. So you get your money, and it encourages you, whether you're a cypherpunk geek or a mainstream user, to learn about self-sovereignty, to be self-sovereign, and to have best practices for owning your coins and really your wealth. Let's now talk about exiting local currency. For the first time in the US, we're actually seeing a reason to exit the US dollar. The government printed over $2.5 trillion in 2020. This was increasing the monetary supply from just under $4 trillion to over $6.6 trillion, right? We're talking about a 65% increase to the M1 cash supply of dollars. But what happened to all this money? I mean, it's not like everyday people just increased their dollar holdings by 65%. It turns out that the purchasing power of goods hasn't even skyrocketed. So where did all this money go? I mean, is there even really inflation? It is happening. And where it's happening is in your ability to purchase assets. Your dollar is buying less stock and less real estate every single day. S&P 500 grew 20% since the beginning of 2020. And as of October last year, the median home prices were up 16% year over year. So it's not that these assets are becoming more valuable, it's that people, mostly wealthy people, have more dollars through inflation to invest in them. And now, everyday people are looking to hedge this by investing in Bitcoin or getting their paycheck in Bitcoin. And this isn't new. The price of Bitcoin actually has historically been changing and growing due to global and local issues around inflation, bad government, failing economies, or straight up corruption. Basically, any reason why someone would want to leave their local currency. Let's look at some examples. In the beginning of 2016, China was finishing the end of their stock market issues, their stock market crashes, their slowing GDP. And this just so happened to be at the same time as when the price of Bitcoin started to rise and began its bull market to what would eventually be the $20,000 coin bubble in 2017. If we're looking more locally, in India at the end of 2016, demonetized 80% of their cash by removing the top 2 bills out of circulation. And this caused the price of Bitcoin in India specifically to go up 40%. Similarly, in Brazil in 2018, so this was after the crash of the Bitcoin bubble, the 2017 Bitcoin bubble, the president of Brazil was removed from office for corruption. And this caused the price of Bitcoin locally in Brazil to have a similar effect as India, 40-50% increases in the price of Bitcoin locally. And now today we have places like Venezuela, Argentina, Zimbabwe that are all having major economic issues, and the prices of Bitcoin is going up. People are exiting the local currency, and people are just looking for ways to save their wealth. And when this is happening, people in these countries are choosing to skip their local currency altogether and get paid directly in Bitcoin. This is why we have workers in over 100 different countries. On a related note, we've got faster, cheaper cross-border wages. So we all know that Bitcoin is lightning fast, but in addition to being fast, it is incredibly liquid. So as fast as you can move Bitcoin, you can also sell it for local currencies, which means we're taking multi-day SWIFT wires and we're turning them into what can be same-day local bank transfers, 2 local transfers from one country to another. Of course, it doesn't always happen because of time zones and local banking infrastructures and banking hours, right? If the banks are closed, you can't move money in a particular country. But you can get it same day, given all those things are working. But another cool thing is happening. As people are exiting their local currencies and the price of Bitcoin is increasing locally, that means that when you sell Bitcoin, you're selling it at a premium. So our users who are getting local currency through our system are getting much better exchange rates. And they're doing this because they're selling against the premium, which is also helping people who want to exit their local currencies not have to pay such exorbitantly high premiums on their crypto. So it ends up being a win-win for the person who wants the local currency and for the local Bitcoin markets. Finally, we've got stablecoins, which is for people who want censorship resistance, who want to exit their local currency, but they're too afraid of the volatility of Bitcoin. So stablecoin is the stepping stone. It's the halfway house to Bitcoin. Why? Because people are understanding and learning about blockchain. They're learning about public-private key cryptography and owning your own wealth, but it's still pegged to the dollar, which is currently the world reserve currency. But as that changes over time and as Bitcoin becomes bigger, I imagine that as people are getting stable coins, they'll slowly shift to Bitcoin. But in any case, it allows people to hold dollars in their wallets anywhere. So let's bring this back to Bitwage. We've been doing this since 2014. Our system is the easiest out there for company and worker products, giving it allowing workers to just set it and forget it and never think about it again. Because we have no custody solutions, all users need to be self-sovereign, and we are encouraging the best standards for you to protect your wealth. We have the most flexible funding and payout options globally. We're talking about bank transfers, credit cards, Bitcoin, stablecoins, cryptocurrencies for funding, for paying out. We've got no transaction limits and are available globally. We've got $100 million processed in payrolls to workers in over 100 countries. So if you're interested in Bitwage, we're giving away $5 to anyone who just wants to get their paycheck in Bitcoin. Sign up to Bitwage through this link that I'm showing you right now. Do at least $500 in payrolls before the end of March, and you get $5 for free. I mean, who doesn't want money for just getting their paycheck? You can go to bitwage.com, our Twitter at @bitwage, or slack.bitwage.com. My Twitter account @JohnChest will also post this referral link. You can also follow me on Clubhouse @JonathanChester. Thank you very much.